everybody, and welcome to my sewing room. If you haven't been here before, my name is Rosemary, and on this channel we do a whole lot of different kinds of sewing and crafts and show you some sewing machines and a lot of different things. And if you have been here before, you know that I'm coming to you from a different part of my sewing room today. I just wanted to show you this little quilt that I finished making probably about 6 months ago, but I've been talking to you a lot about making applique on your Stellaire sewing machine or on your Dream machine or on your Luminaire, and most of these appliques I made on my Stellaire sewing machine. The big letters, the SEW, I did with the letter technique that I showed you before, where you just bring in a letter and enlarge it and make it into an applique. A lot of the other ones are things I brought in from my other designs that I have collected over the years. So one of the things I wanted to show you with this is that you can go to Embroidery Library or go through your Need a Good Designs or your OSD and find the things that look like little sewing accessories and notions, and take them out with your software and put them into a different program. It's just another idea, another inspiration, another different way that you can use some of the designs that you've collected over the years. And I had a lot of fun doing this. I took this sewing machine actually from my PE design software. It was just a shape that was in there, and I was able to make it into an embroidery. And a lot of the pin cushions and the thread or stuff I've just resized and done a little differently. So it was a lot of fun to do something different. And I used some really light, like floral rose fabric that I got from our Sew Fund that we have at Rocky Mountain Sewing and Vacuum. I bought a kit for a quilt that was a little bit too much for me. I didn't really want to do all those triangles and everything. So I did this instead, and I was really happy with it. And I want to show you something I did with some of the scraps. So you guys are getting a whole lot of different views of my sewing room today, and this one is a view of the floor. But I wanted to let you see this quilt. This is one of the quilts I'm going to be showing when I start Sew Fun in January, and it's scraps from that quilt. And it's really easy because it's done in just a lot of little strips of about 2.5 inches by 6, and then sewn together with some angles. And I really like the way it came out. I think it's a real pretty quilt with lots of light greens and pinks and flowers, and it's very romantic, I guess is what I'm thinking it is. And I was able to finish it up with some fabric that we had in the store and some that I went and got at Hobby Lobby. I also like the back. I think the back came out really pretty. But I want to show you how I went ahead and I quilted it with my Stellaire, and I know I've showed you that before, how to go ahead and quilt it with your embroidery machine. And then I did the sashing that goes around the edges with a border that I created. The Luminaire has a really fabulous border sashing program in it, which is wonderful for people who have the Luminaire, but I have the Stellaire. So I wanted to do kind of the same idea, but I was going to make it up as I went along. So I want to show you how I did that. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so here we are in front of my Stellaire sewing machine, and what I'm going to do to bring in the picture I took with my app is I'm going to come up here to the top where the leaf is. I'm going to hit this. Now we're just using this as an image. We're not using it to make an embroidery. So in order to do that, I'm going to push return. You hit this leaf up here on top. Don't hit these. These are going to try and make an embroidery out of your design. So we're going to hit this, and we're going to hit the wireless code, and then this one on top should be the one that I just took a picture of. So I'm going to give it a minute, and I can see this is the one I wanted it to be, so I'm going to set it down just like that. Now I can see my quilt, and I have it set up for the sashing. So here's a sashing and here's a sashing, and that's what I'm going to try and put an embroidery on. So the first one I want to do is I want to go into my shapes, and this menu is pretty good if I want a solid one, but this one here I like a whole lot because it's kind of got little open shapes that you can make a quilt design out of. And I think what I want to do is, because I've been doing this one, I'm going to continue this one around, and I'm going to put that one and say okay, and here it is right here, and I need to size it so it fits in this sashing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit size and make it a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to hit rotate and rotate, and then put it right here. See, and that fits right in that corner pretty good. You know what? Let's rotate that so the flower comes to the corner. And then let's duplicate it. We're going to hit duplicate and put one up here. And then we'll rotate it like this. I'm actually just kind of thinking this through as I go. Now, the bad thing about this is that if I want to go ahead and move that first one, I have to put this down here and I have to hit the square and select this one again and then move it where I want it to be. And then hit the square again. And see how it just accidentally cut into that? Then I have to do it again because I don't want to cut. I don't want to cut into this one when I pick this up. There, I think I got it exactly where I want it to be, just like that. Now I can pick it up and put it right here in this corner. And I'm going to size it. I'm going to hit size and I'm going to squish it in just a little bit to make it so it fits right in that corner, just like that. Here I'm going to do it again. I keep doing it till I get the whole thing, and then I'm going to move it up. Push this in. Put it right there. So I can create another one if I just duplicate it. Move it over here, size it down, and do another one like that. Or I'm going to hit cut, make that go away, and I'm going to go into my shapes again, and I'm going to pick, let's just do one like this, and move it down here, and size it, make it a little bit bigger, and put it, and I always make sure they kind of bump into each other, because if they bump into each other, then it'll continue, and it won't jump around and make a lot of cut threads, which is what I don't want. So there's another one right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one in here. So I'm going to go back into my shapes and go back into here, and I'm going to pick just this real basic one here. And see, I can put that one right here, hit size, make it wider, and make it fit there. And we're going to duplicate that one by hitting the duplicate button, bring it down here, rotate it. And again, I want them to bump into each other so that I don't have to worry about it stopping and cutting the thread. I'm going to hit another one, duplicate again, bring it down here, make it bump into each other there. And see right here where it doesn't connect? I'm going to connect that. And the way I'm going to do is I'm going to hit plus, move my red box up here, and I'm going to hit the pencil, and I'm just going to make that bump into each other. So that should make it continue from one to the next without any problem whatsoever. And I can zoom in even more. Let's get really close to it. Hit my eraser through just a little bit. See what it is you want this quilt design to look like. Minus, 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 back out. That looks pretty good. I should be able to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to hit the pour, make sure that this says the double running stitch, and then I'm just going to tap it with my finger all over. Okay, that's pretty good. So we're going to go next, and I'm going to hit this chain thing, make sure that that is all this. It's all connected. We're going to hit preview. Okay. I can see that it's ready to go. I'm going to hit set. Okay. And I'm going to sew that out. So I'm going to go ahead and move my camera over here and start this sewing. Oh, it's just telling me that I didn't lock it down right. So give me a second to lock this down. And then we're going to sew this corner, and then I'll show you how to connect them after you rehoop it. Okay, so I've rehooped this, and I know it's really hard to see because but I can see the last row stitching right here. And if I make it really dark by moving this over, you can see the stitching better, but unfortunately, if I hit the drawing pencil, I can't see my drawing when it's that dark. So then I have to go back down this way. And if I go this way, you can actually see what I just drew there. So it's kind of like a back and forth thing. I know that this stitch stops right here. And then this stitch stops right here. I can see the little swirl right here. And I can see the little swirl right here. So I'm going to put some more stitches in there so they kind of butt into there. So what I'm going to do is I want to go into my shapes, and I'm going to pick that same shape again that I did before. Let's see, this one right here. No, this one right here. And you can see, I can't even see that. I've got it so dark. So I'm going to bring it back just a little bit so I can see this stitch. And I'm going to size it up. I'm going to hit size here and make it bigger. And then I'm going to flip it around, rotate, and I'm going to put it right there. Let's see. Let's bring it, let's make it wider. So we're going to hit size and bring it out this way a little bit. And put it right there. And then I'm going to get that other one. Let's see, shapes. And we're going to pick this one here. And then that's the one that's going to go in the brown. So let's rotate that one and put it right there in the brown. We'll say okay, size, push it out just a little bit. Put it right there. Duplicate. Put it right there. Make sure they bump into each other so it's a continuous line. Duplicate again. This one I want to make just a little bit smaller by sizing it in like this. Whoops. Sometimes when you size down, if you turned it, it doesn't do what you want it to do. So we're going to push it down there. Push it down. And then push it out. And put that one so they bump into each other. Now I want to select this one again. So I'm going to pick the box, draw a box around it. Now I've selected that one, and I can hit duplicate and make them, let's rotate that one around and make them bump into each other. So now I've created kind of like a border that I can continue to repeat over and over again on my quilt. And so I'm going to say okay, and next. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't select it all and tell it that I want that to be a running stitch. So now I just did it just right here. That works. You just have to connect it all and hit this. It'll take you back into the menu, say running stitch, and you're back where you want to be. And we're going to say preview and okay. And then I'm going to set that down and okay. 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 Seems like I push okay an awful lot. Okay, so now let's move it over here. And I'm going to just kind of move the camera down a bit. And I want to check and see if it runs into the last stitches. So when I push embroidery, I'm going to hit the check button. And you all know what the check button is. It's this button right here that allows you to check where the corners are. So I'm going to hit the corner here. And then it's going to bring it back over here. And let's see. Okay, so now it's up here in the corner and I can actually see that it's kind of butting in to my last row of stitches. So what I want to do is I want to just move it down a little bit. Oh, it won't let me. I've actually got it just right to the edge as far down as it'll go. And then I'm going to check this corner here and see. It's coming, this is where my stitching is, and that's where my needle's going to go. So that's pretty close. I think that's going to work for what I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say okay and push go and let it start to sew. And I'm going to go all the way around all the way down to the other corner of my quilt and then create another corner. So it takes a little bit more work basically than if you have the Luminaire and you have that great sashing border program, but it works and it makes a really nice quilting stitch on my quilt. So I'll finish this up and then I'll show you what it looks like all done. Okay, I'm back, and as you saw before when we first did the beginning of it, I had already finished the quilt, and then I went to the sewing machine, and it kind of backtracked and went back to before I'd finished it. So, but I just think it worked out really well. It came out to be a really pretty quilt. It was fun to do, and the quilting I did with a really light pink thread, so it doesn't pop out so much and it doesn't show, but I think the end result was definitely worth it, and I'm very happy with this quilt. So hopefully it wasn't too repetitive of things I've showed before, and you learned a little bit about how to create a quilt stitch on your Stellaire sewing machine, and that you had a good time. Like and subscribe, comment, give me some ideas of what I might do next. I was talking to somebody at one of our events, and she said that she has a whole lot of embroidery designs, but she doesn't know what to do with them. And that was kind of the way I showed you that quilt in the beginning, just an idea of what you can do with some of the embroidery designs that you have. But I also thought it would be fun to take some embroidery designs that I have that I just downloaded from the iBroidery, show you how to use iBroidery if you don't know how to use it, and put it on a little dress or a little quilt. I'm going to work it out in my head as I go along and show you just some inspiration, some different ideas of some things that you can do with some of your embroidery designs, especially since we're getting near the end of August. We're going to get into September, and I don't know if you live in Colorado, we're going to get some snow, and it's a perfect time to stay home and get some sewing projects done. So hopefully I will see you in a couple of weeks, and you have a nice summer. And I have a birthday coming up really fast here, so I'm going to celebrate that birthday, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.